It came in like a wrecking ball. The Soundcore Motion Boom. It's taken the internet world by storm. It's just come out. It's taken my life by storm anyway. 80 quid for some sort of boombox. We were already used to getting really good value from Soundcore, otherwise known as Anker, because my pound for pound world champion has up to now been the Soundcore Motion Plus. We've already had, although I'm late to the party, and it is a party speaker, the Soundcore Rave Neo. They want to tell you it's good for a rave, and they also want to tell you it's party proof. Actually says that on the box. Pick up me little men. Actually says that on the box. It's party proof, and it's geared as a party speaker, but clearly been good value. This is £99. This is 80 quid. This is £280. It's even crazy that I'm going to do a comparison between three speakers that are £80, £99, £280, and we're hoping there might not be that much in terms of deep bass. And I think that's what this video is really about. These are all potential speakers for people who like their bass deep, warm, rounded, and in your face in a way. Now, especially when it came to the JBL Xtreme lineup, a lot of people not really getting the difference between deep bass and punchy bass and upper bass. Deep bass is not about punch, it's about that warm sound, and you feel it, it rumbles, it's movie type bass. That's how I think of it. Upper bass is more of a slap, but it's a punch, and that's why they call it punchy. I wonder why. Punchy, because it's like being punched, but it's not something you feel all over your body. Lower bass is actually something you sense in your body, even when you don't hear it, and your brain interprets that as deep bass. Upper bass is not like that, but it is punchy. So a lot of people might not understand when I talk about one speaker having more bass than the other, because I can see from comments people are saying, well, the Xtreme 2, for instance, has more bass than the JBL Xtreme 3. It's not that it has more bass, it has more upper bass. And not particularly balanced. The JBL Xtreme 3 has more deep bass, and for a lot of people they would say that's where you want your bass. So it depends on your taste. So these speakers are going to be really, I think, for people who are potentially looking for deep, rumbly type bass. So this is my first look at the Rave Neo. I'm not doing a complete review of it and on its own and talking about, because it's been out a while. I think a lot of you may already have a handle on it. And for those who don't, you'll get a handle. I don't have to tell you the features. You know, a lot of Anker promotion now, Soundcore, well, the Soundcore speakers comes with bass up technology. And my experience with all of them has been, you turn bass up off, well, that's a bass cut. You're not getting amazing things from bass up. It just seems to be, they can call it bass up, but if you turn it off, you're losing genuine bass. You're not getting something magical. Well, there may be little tricks going on, but it's basically bass up should be left on all their speakers, and you turn it off if you want to cut your bass. But it's not normal bass without bass up, it's a bass cut. So quickly go over some of the specs between them, and then get straight into it. I've already mentioned the price. SBC codec, £280, $99 or £99, when it should be about 80 quid on that, shouldn't it? For the Rave Neo. Coming in like a wrecking ball. It came in like a wrecking ball at £80. And if it's anything like the Motion Plus, you'll be getting for that down the road for about £70. In terms of batteries, all about the same. Technically, all 10,000 milliamp hours, but depending on the voltage, because it appears that 3.7 volts for the Motion Boom. So basically, we've got 36 watt hours Rave Neo, 37 watt hours Motion Boom, 36.3 watt hours JBL Xtreme 3. So basically same battery within them. All I have to tell you are SBC codec. That would be a little disappointing because we did get aptX in the Motion Plus. Kind of hoping that would be an ongoing thing. Doesn't look like it is. Looks like they're going with SBC. All do stereo pairing. This is a partycast speaker, which means you could pair it with up to 100 other partycast speakers, but it takes the same type of speaker with all these if you want to do stereo. They all have USB-C, auxiliary on all of them except the Motion Boom. They got rid of the auxiliary, saving money somewhere, I guess. Can all be used as a power bank. can all be used as a phone except JBL, because it's only £280 and you shouldn't be able to use it as a speakerphone. So getting a speakerphone in these two, not in the JBL for 280 quid. On paper, a 50-watt speaker, the JBL Xtreme 3, but you do have to plug the mains lead in to get 50 watts out of it. It's not quite 50 watts, clearly in equivalent terms, if you just use it on battery. We've got 30 watts only on the Motion Boom, and I'm putting it into this comparison. Is that going to be a little bit silly? We'll see down the road. 50 watts officially for the Rave Neo. The Rave Neo not just looks bigger, it is bigger. It comes in at 3 kilos. Coming in at 2 kilos is the Xtreme 2, and coming in at 1.5 kilos, little Motion Boom. They are all IPX7, which means they can all be submerged in up to a meter of water for 30 minutes. We do have, even though it's JBL, we do have a stereo here. We have 2 woofers. We have tweeters and we have passive radiators. No tweeters, but woofers and passive radiators on the Motion Boom, but just 1 tweeter and 1 woofer on the Rave Neo. But obviously it's a bigger woofer and it's a bigger tweeter, considerably bigger than you're getting on the other two. So what will that translate into the real world? We're going to see maximum volume on the Rave Neo. I got 6 hours, 33 minutes. Going to get about 4 hours maximum volume on the Xtreme 3, nearly 6 hours on the Motion Boom. What can we expect? I'm going to give you a quick look at, and I should also point out, I'm only going to be doing default modes in this. It's going to get, I've got 3 speakers here and it's going to get complicated if I do all the different modes. Typically with the Soundcore speakers, you get a lot more out of them when you go to custom mode, and it won't be any different with these 2 speakers. So it's going to be probably in the next video, comparison with custom modes. But if I did my custom modes, I guarantee you if I did custom modes now, the comments would all be saying, it's not very fair, you've EQ'd the other 2, and the JBL fan club will be on saying you didn't EQ the JBL and that's not fair. So everyone should be happy, I hope. This will be about default modes, and then I'm going to do custom modes. So frequency response, what can you expect, and also explaining why I'm going to be using outdoor as my main default mode on the Rave Neo. So you may be thinking outdoor, that's going to be for outdoor because it's got an indoor mode. Well, you'll see down the road why it isn't. And signature mode is default mode going to be using, and only mode on the JBL Xtreme 3 is going to be the mode I use. Frequency response, JBL Xtreme 3, Soundcore Rave Neo, Motion Boom. First thing to note, JBL Xtreme 3 bass limiting. After 80%, you will get no more bass as you got the volume. And by the time you hit maximum volume, it's very high-end slanted because of that bass limiting. So the sound changes considerably. Whereas it's reasonably balanced at 80%, it's now looking like it's on the shrill side at maximum volume. Also notice the volume steps get narrower the higher up the volumes you go. The Rave Neo, same issue, 80%, much less of a difference in volume for the next 20% compared to the volume steps below. Look at where our bass is at maximum volume. It's the opposite of the JBL Xtreme 3. It's now bass heavy compared to the rest of the track, apart from the peak at 9 kilohertz. And you can already see massive dips and peaks. We're talking a range of about plus or minus 7 decibels for the Neo. That is not flat at all. The Motion Boom, well, look, that's pretty flat, isn't it? And pretty linear, all the way from 40% to 100% volume. The sound isn't changing at all in terms of the actual frequency response, although to your ears it may sound different. In terms of what bass to expect, well, looking at that, they're all around the same. In terms of the upper limit from 150 hertz down, they're all around the 92 dB on a frequency sweep. Obviously, real world can be very different. Remember, this is the JBL Xtreme 3 on battery. You plug in the mains lead, it will go louder. Although the Rave Neo looks a bit all over the place. This is default outdoor mode, and I have to tell you, this is the most balanced of the 3 modes it comes with. Outdoor mode, and then the indoor mode will give you a drop from the mids and the highs to make it sound more bass heavy, but it's less balanced. And then the other mode is bang mode. Weird things happen at 80% to 100%, as you can see. It swaps high bass for low bass as it goes up to the bottom. So again, very strange things happening at that high end, but more balanced than indoor mode. And the main thing that will happen when you switch to bang mode, and maybe this is by design, it goes louder. So you can see for each of those steps, the bang mode is louder until you hit maximum volume. So that means as you swap EQ modes in the app, it's going to make it sound more dynamic to your ears, but it isn't. It's just going louder. Right, I'm going to get straight into it. This is going to be 40%. This is a low volume mode test. If you want to get the most out of this mode, play it at low volume. Don't turn it right up so it's booming, because you won't get the correct impression. If you want to hear what these speakers do at low volume, play my 40% test at low volume. And this is my comparison.
Quit playing games, just call it.
Yeah, so for me personally, my winner at low volume is the Motion Boom. It's the cheapest speaker of the bunch, and in its default mode. You can get more out of it in custom mode. £280 on the JBL Xtreme 3. It's a bit dull at 40% volume. A bit dull, a bit dry. The 13 kilohertz boost makes it sound a bit electronic. Look, it sounds okay, but in this comparison, I would say it's the worst of the bunch. Sounding a bit thin. I think, to me, my ears, most balanced is Motion Boom. There's more upper bass going on with the Rave Neo, and I have to say, they're all going deep. I was expecting, I've heard people tell me the Rave Neo goes as deep as the Xtreme 3. I wasn't really expecting it maybe to do that. I was impressed with the JBL Xtreme 3 when I got it, but I have to say in this test, almost nothing special. Or overnight, it's suddenly gone from something I'd listened to in this particular test, nothing special. These ones actually going down, playing hearable down to 40 hertz. I was really, really surprised. While maybe that's still king at 50 hertz, it doesn't play down to 40 hertz as strongly as these two speakers. Big surprise to me. Let's take it up a notch, around the 65% volume. And if you've watched my videos before, I'm playing them about the same volume and then recording them. So I'm saying about a 65% volume test. You'll see in the clips what volume they were actually recorded at.
about that, but you live in my thoughts. I just want to forget you, but I'm not capable. I don't want to forget. I don't want to
The Boom, the Rave Neo, the JBL Xtreme 3. The Rave Neo, you can see, has the problems of big dips, especially at around 1300 hertz, just below the 3000 hertz, and then between about 3.7 kilohertz and 5 kilohertz, and then a big peak around the 8 kilohertz mark. Motion Boom, you can see much stronger, especially at the high end, with not just a single peak, but it's quite strong from 4 kilohertz and up to around 14 kilohertz. And the Xtreme 3 has that big peak around 13 kilohertz, but a big dip just before that. In terms of the all-important, a deep bass, with these speakers I can talk about going down to 40 hertz, which is genuine deep bass. Normally I'm looking around the 50 hertz mark. At 50 hertz, minus 27, but at 40 hertz, minus 48 on the Xtreme 3. And you can see Rave Neo 6 dB up at 40 hertz. Now 40 hertz is a roll-off, but it's prominent enough to be part of the track. Even the Motion Boom outdoes the Xtreme 3 for the 40 hertz mark and holds its own at 50 hertz. So in terms of deep bass, really there's nothing between the three of them, and the JBL Xtreme 3 has the thinnest deep bass. In terms of, maybe we call it mid bass, the 70 hertz mark, the edge to the Xtreme 3, but not by a massive amount, 13.5. That's a decibel up on the Motion Boom, 1.5 decibels up on the Rave Neo. In terms of the upper bass, the Motion Boom is down 170 hertz, but that's going to help bring out the lower bass. And at 95 hertz, it's just behind the Neo and the Xtreme 3. So 65% Xtreme 3, Rave Neo have a bit more upper bass punch, and overall upper bass goes to Rave Neo. They all go down deep, as you can see. But there's something a bit different about the lower bass on the JBL Xtreme 3. To me, it is more rumbly. Maybe there's a little bit more quality to the bass than the other two speakers, the much cheaper speakers, are producing. However, they are playing down low. They're playing down to around 40 hertz. As I said, big surprise to me. But there's just something, there's more rumbly, but there's less upper bass going on with the Xtreme 3. And because of the high-end boost, can sound a bit hollow against these two speakers that can sound quite full. So there's more, all that plays down at 40 hertz. It has a character of more upper bass, whereas the Motion Boom sounds quite balanced. When I had it against the Motion Plus, made it sound a little bit muddied, but against these two speakers, it's actually sounding quite balanced and holding its own. Don't forget, it's the cheapest, and it's 30 watts against 50 watts. So still, to me, at this point, Motion Boom winning the test so far, going on to 85%.
When I was just a little baby girl, mama used to tell me some crazy things. She would tell me my destiny was to meet a man that's gonna marry me. She would tell me to sit up straight, don't gain no weight, gotta be thin. See, the plan is, honey, meet a man with money and you won't worry about a thing. She said, brush your hair, put your face on, meet a dude, bitch your cake on, buy a mason, that's a crib. Pretty little life as a wife and kids. He bout the biz, he keep it proper. You baking goods like Betty Crocker. Groceries stocked up, laundry's on, dinner on the table when you make it home. Yeah, that's a dream. Raise your kids, cook and clean. Food in the cupboards, no need for rubbers. White picket fence with a house in the suburbs. No need for school, no need for friends, no need for work, cause you got a plan. Find a man, then raise your family. That's the only way for a girl to be happy. I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Ain't a project wife, got my logic right, cause I'm not your type. I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Sorry, ma, I ain't get it right. I'ma just live my life. When I was just a little young and my mom thought I was bugging, cause I played with the wrong toys. No Barbie dolls, just sports balls. You could call me a tomboy. No dance classes, just hockey practice. Was born to win. My hair was a mess, I would never wear a dress, but I didn't really give a shit. I would go to class, passing notes. No flirting though, just cracking jokes. Smoking dope, but I kept my promise. Straight D's and I went to college. Bachelor's and a master's. Strong, independent, and I'm educated. Priorities backwards. Money that a man got. Damn, I made it. I can date who I wanna date. Don't mistake for monogamy. No third base, let's go all the way. Drinking rosé like a holiday. No need to own cause I pay rent. You need me, I'm going on vacation. I party with no obligation. I'm single and I feel amazing. I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Ain't a project wife, got my logic right, cause I'm not your type. I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Sorry, ma, I ain't get it right. I'ma just live my life. I ain't about that. I ain't about that life. You may say I ain't doing it right. You can do what you like, but I'm choosing my life, okay? And I refuse your advice. I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Ain't a project wife, got my logic right, cause I'm not your type. I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Sorry, ma, I ain't get it right. I'ma just live my life. I'm so free. Life is good. Baby, see. Yeah. How we out, baby?
There is less upper bass going on with the JBL Xtreme 3. And I think that helps to bring out that lower bass. So in many ways, around 85%, which is around its sweet spot, because after this, there's no more bass to come. It probably sounds a little bit more full, but it doesn't have the upper bass punch, but that helps to make the lower bass a little bit more prominent. Even though I'm saying that, at 40 Hertz, both of these speakers are playing a little bit stronger than the JBL Xtreme 3. So the actual low bass is a bit thinner on the JBL Xtreme 3 than the other two speakers, but perhaps there's a little bit more quality about it. So I'm more aware of it. It just sounds more rumbly to me. On the Motion Boom, it's there, but I wouldn't say there's great quality about it, but for the price, for the size, I think, it's doing fantastic. You couldn't really ask for more at the price. Don't run away with the idea, though, that it's particularly tight or particularly detailed. Probably more detail on the Rave Neo, and bigger woofers, bigger tweeter. Perhaps when I go to custom mode, there will be more to come. So the opposite of the Xtreme 3. There is a lot of upper bass character about the Rave Neo, which hides some of that bottom end. So although the bottom end, the deep bass is there, you may not be aware of it in the same way as you are on the Xtreme 3. The other thing about the Motion Boom is it doesn't rely on peaks as the other two speakers seem to do for its clarity. It's just strong all the way from a 5 kilohertz all the way up to about 15 kilohertz. It just maintains a straight line basically without relying on particular peaks. Makes it sound a bit clearer, a bit fuller. As I said, didn't get that impression against the Motion Plus because the Motion Plus is particularly detailed and didn't have the lower bass helping some of that clarity. But it's holding its own in deep bass. Absolutely a shock to me. I want to see what the absolute headroom is on these speakers, so I'm going to 100% volume.
I need a minute, only take a minute. I need a minute to soak it all in. I need a minute while I'm all up in it. I just need a moment to soak it all in. Now I gotta get back to the rhythm, back into the groove. Can I relax until I am moving? a few chairs. But now we gotta move. Take a breath and use it to keep this body moving. Take a breath and use it to keep this body moving. But now we gotta move. Take a breath and use it to keep this body moving. But now we gotta take a breath and use it to keep this body moving. Take a breath and use it to keep this body moving. Take a breath and use it to keep this body moving. Take a breath and use it to keep this body moving. Now we gotta get back to the rhythm, back into the groove. Can I relax until I am moving? Back to the rhythm, back into the groove. When you're laying on your back and you're taking a nap, you gotta follow the track and you wake up losing.
So you stick the mains lead in. Yes, the Xtreme 3 has the biggest deep bass, and it goes the loudest. Mains, battery, Neo, boom. But it's no longer a portable speaker, of course. So if we just talk about battery-powered portable speakers, in terms of LUFS, Xtreme 3 just edges it, although RMS slightly favours the Rave Neo, while the Xtreme 3 does have the biggest peak. But still we see, at 40 Hz, both the Neo and the Boom go deeper. It is rolled off, and if we talk about 55 Hz, then the Xtreme 3 does hold sway. At 70 Hz, let's say midish bass, nothing in it really between the Boom and the Xtreme 3. The Neo's a little bit down, but then the Neo picks up around the 150 Hz mark, where the Boom loses out. But that, as I said before, lack of 150 Hz brings out more of the lower bass for the Boom. Boom, still quite linear, well, pretty linear at maximum volume. The Neo peaks, dips everywhere, and the Xtreme 3 rolls off rapidly from about 8 kHz, save for a 13 kHz peak. So it came in like a wrecking ball. It came in like a wrecking ball. And it's still working wonders, even at maximum volume, the so-called 30 watts, even against own brand 50 watts, and the 50 watts so-called of the JBL extremely priced speaker. And I even think, you know, all right, when you put the mains lead in, yes, it goes that much louder, and it does have more deep bass than the other two speakers, but you've got to plug the mains lead in to do that. Just talk about battery versus battery. To me, it's deeper. Even in default mode, we're not going, haven't gone to custom yet. Even in default mode, Rave Neo sounds deep. And quite honestly, when it comes to 40 Hertz, even the Boom at minus 45 dB is louder than the Xtreme 3 at minus 3 dB louder at 40 Hertz. Yes, 40 Hertz is rolled off, but in these speakers it's rolled off, but you can still hear it in the track. So it still has an effect on the deep bass. Whereas, you know, 50 Hertz on all these speakers is not rolled off, and it's really where the speakers play down to. Then at around 55 Hertz, yes, the JBL Xtreme 3 does have 2 to 3 dB advantage, but it differs all the way up. Upper bass, very deep bass, say 40 Hertz, and the 50 Hertz. So it's all, so they are holding their own. Just a reminder, 99 quid or $99 when it should be about 80 quid on that. About £80 is what I paid for that. Still don't see it out in the UK. Maybe it'll come in at 70 quid like the Motion Plus does every so often. £280 for the JBL Xtreme 3. These two speakers are holding their own. All right, this is mono, but it's the bigger drivers give it a bigger sound. It loses a little bit of sparkle because it's not stereo, but I have to say it does sound bigger and a lot of fun, quite honestly. Motion Boom, you know, because it's got an integrated handle. One of them's about to go and stand by, I think. Nope. Because it's got the integrated handle, maybe a plus or a minus to you. You can't detach it in the way you can detach the strap for the JBL Xtreme 3. And of course, we've got a little handle. I mean, you could, I don't know if you can pull this off. No, but you could cut it off if you wanted, but it's not in your face. I can do that, I can do that, or I can hold it. This is just there and it's annoying, and I wish I hadn't done that, but there you go. Even more value now. I mean, the Soundcore seem to be on an absolute roll with their speakers, I have to say. Maybe it forced JBL into putting the socks up and really coming out with something a bit special, and not these extreme prices. So, yeah, either of these two will be a recommendation, but we're still going to have to do the, yeah, it's that one. We're still going to have to do the custom mode test. And it's not going to be any worse in custom mode, so it can only get better. So if you were thinking about the JBL Xtreme 3, well, you know, 280 quid, 80 quid already. And I mean, it goes loud. Not quite as loud, but it certainly goes loud. And this, I have to say, you can get this to sound a bit hi-fi-ish. You can get, it lacks that high end in the default mode, but once you go into custom mode, as you'll see, really brings out some sparkle. So, hope you got something out of this video, and I thank you for watching.